Before the show, we agreed that we weren't going to talk dosages and stuff like that. So this is just...
I can dive into small amounts of it. My biggest problem with that is I just don't want to say something on here to you guys, and you guys think you can go and run and do that, or somebody listens to it and says, well, he said this, etc., right? So I will talk about like some things for sure. So put it out there, and we'll see where I run with it.
Safest mass building cycle. I don't know. That's such a generic term. I don't... Like,
it is...
Are you looking for... Like, to me, I could hear that and say, are you going to be world's strongest man, or are you going to step on stage? Those are two different protocols.
For sure. And yeah, are we talking strength building? Are we talking actual muscle size building? The two are different as much as they do overlap in some areas. I'm not going to write a cycle for you guys right now. I'm not going to put out specific dosages and compounds and stuff like that. But I will start with this, and this might piss some people off. More than half of you, probably almost all you, don't fucking train hard enough. And a lot of you guys don't fucking eat enough food. Yeah. The hardest part of bodybuilding, I'll tell you right now, for me as somebody who just got to 260 pounds and it was a fucking struggle to get there, and I was staying up till 2 a.m. trying to get my food in, that's the hard part of bodybuilding. Putting a fucking needle in your body and going to the gym and training is easy. Trying to eat the amount of food it takes to get there, and when you have a cheat meal, that's a massive meal, you drop 2 pounds the next day, that's not fucking fun, and that sucks.
Oh yeah, he's not putting tiramisu in. I'm watching these guys meal. They're putting it in clean. I've told you guys on my fitness channel, I have a hard time putting 2,500 calories down if it's clean.
And I was sitting around 5,500 there for a bit, right? Like, if anybody's listening to this, so personally, myself, just from an efficiency standpoint, I won't push more than 5 meals. Now, have I in my
1,000 calories a meal?
Pretty well, yeah. Jesus. Have I been at a place before? And this is, again, where I was kind of, and this is another piece of bodybuilding we can talk about however long you want to sit here and talk about this. Have I been in a setting where I believe bodybuilding became a little bit toxic to me, and that's all I cared about at a time in my life? For sure, because I had one goal, and I'm a very goal-focused person, and my goal was to become a pro bodybuilder.
Obsession is
and I was setting alarms and waking up at 2 a.m. with 90 grams of protein in a shaker cup and 100 grams of oats blended with nut butter, and I would wake up at 2 a.m. and slug that shake because I had 7 meals. Right? That's not something I do now because I also understand the value of sleep and trying to have not broken sleep and that kind of stuff. And I also just, quite frankly, don't care to be a pro bodybuilder. If it ever happens and I step on stage, sweet. I'm not hell-bent on that. I care more about my athletes. I care more about my family, my businesses, those kind of things. But I still am a bodybuilder through and through, and I do bodybuilding, I would argue, probably a lot better than most people that are still competing to this day because I fucking love it and it's a piece of me.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, and you can't remove it, or else that whole thing that we talked about at the beginning, you're no longer you.
Yeah.
You can't remove that just to do
100%.
More business.
Yep.
That's what drives you every day to be like, no, I can conquer that shit too.
Yeah, and I'll be completely transparent with what I do. I mean, right now I'm on 150 milligrams of testosterone a week, which is HRT. That's what people walk around with. Their doctor prescribes them to keep normal test levels. I'm still 255 pounds and eating 4,800 calories a day right now, so almost 5,000 calories. And I do that between 5 meals. Right, and again, for me, the reason I do choose to do 5 meals, whether people think that's right or wrong, because some people argue you got to have 6 or more. Some people are saying it doesn't matter if you have 3. I believe there is 3 meals. I believe is not efficient enough to bodybuild because you need to take into a lot of different factors like muscle protein synthesis and how many times you can spike that during a day, etc. But for me, it's an efficiency thing because, again, I just said I care more about my people and my businesses. So for me to have to stop 6 times a day instead of 5 times a day, it's a lot easier for me. And there's time. My best workflow is actually in the morning when I get up before I've even eaten. So I like waking up, and Ty and I ran into this problem that we were bitching about on social media because I'd wake up at 5:30, I'd go straight to the gym and I'd start working and I'd have my coffee and my water and I would work, and all of a sudden it's 11 o'clock and I'm like, fuck, I haven't eaten yet. But I got a lot done. But I haven't eaten yet. Now I have to jam those 5,000 calories in before I go to bed in the next 12 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, fuck, this is a struggle. So I actually forced myself to having to start eating earlier, as much as I love being efficient first thing in the morning, because that's a nightmare. And it starts a bad cycle because then you have to stay up late to get your meals in, but then you're either sleeping 4 hours or you're sleeping your 6 to 8 hours. And if you sleep 6 to 8, you're starting late, and then it just, the whole fucking thing cycles again, right? So for me personally, 5 works way better because my pre and post workout meals are very quick to make. They're very easily digestible. I can eat them in 5 minutes flat and get back to doing what I need to do. But like the reality is, if you want to bodybuild and you want to set your life on this path and be the absolute best you can be, you're going to have to structure some things in your life around it, right? Like for me, I eat 90 minutes before I train, no sooner or no early, like no closer to my training window. And how much can I really get done in an hour and a half when I've kind of flipped that switch? I don't like going back to doing check-ins because then I feel like I'm rushing to get them done between that hour and a half I have. So if you see me at the gym and I eat my pre-workout meal and I'm just kind of wandering around talking to people and having the community feel and making those connections, that's probably because I don't want to go sit in my office and half-ass something or rush to do something. And that's my time to get ready to train. And that's a whole nother ball game. Is like when I train, me and Ty train together and people watch us and people admire it because we have the ability to go to a really fucked up place during our sets that a lot of people can't get to. And that doesn't happen by not being there mentally, right? So much like me, I'm very fortunate. I came from a high-level sports background. Before hockey games, you would do things and you had your pregame rituals and that kind of stuff. I was the weirdo that showered before every fucking hockey game I took at the rink. I would shower before I went to the rink, do my hair, put my suit on, you name it, and then I'm at the rink. And before we go for our run and our warm-up, I'm having a fucking shower. Or after we do our jog, I'm having a shower. And it's like, that's fucking weird. Well, that got me in the zone. That got me where I needed to be. Much like with training, I have certain things that I do that get me where I need to be. And we notice it, being business owners, right? We have to run the gym.
Yes.
And we'll be in the middle of a session or we'll be about to start a session and something happens that we have to deal with. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm a fucking business owner now. I'm not a bodybuilder getting paid $1 million a year to bodybuild because that doesn't really exist other than the top couple people in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have a business to run. I got people to take care of. And if that happens, unfortunately, I kind of have to leave that setting, but you notice it and it does affect your session. So anybody that believes otherwise, I'll tell you straight to your face, you're fucking wrong. It does affect your shit, especially if you're in a place where you can optimize your training to that degree.
Yeah. No, the focus these guys got. You guys had that corporate day a few weeks ago, and you guys had thrown 500 on the bar to do RDLs.
Yep.
And this is nuts if you've never seen 30 people gather around 3 guys outdoing each other. What did you rep out, 9 or 10 at 500 pounds?
Yeah, I think it was 8 reps at 500 pounds.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Do you even hear anyone behind you? I didn't think so.
No, it's there's sets that you'll finish where your ears are ringing and it's like, what the fuck just happened? Mm-hmm. But it's
oh yeah, because everybody in the gym stopped.
Yeah,
and I had their cameras out watching these 3 behemoths just throw 500 pounds around. Like
it's cool though.
Fucking bending.
It's cool because I will say, like, the environment does change shit.
Yes.
So I'll tell you right now, when you have those people watching, you're gonna perform better. Now that being said, am I specifically listening to them? If somebody was cueing me, which I watched back the video, and our buddy who's a freaky powerlifter, shout out to him, Larry, one of the best powerlifting coaches in the city, in Canada. He is, I would argue, definitely the best at that job. He was cueing me through that set, and I didn't hear a single fucking thing that he said. And I watched the video back, and I can hear him yelling certain things. Did I do it or what he wanted to do? I'm not fucking sure because I wasn't thinking. And it's just like, at that point, my brain is off, and my goal is to not die. Like, in reality, it's like there's a lot of weight in my hands, and that could snap my spine in half.
Absolutely.
So don't let it snap your spine in half. Or you're on a leg press with 10 plates aside. Don't let that shit crush you, because that's the reality of this thing. Now, I think this is kind of getting sidebarred, but I'll just let it ride.
Do it.
A lot of people get caught up in thinking too much during their training. And I think it's an acquired skill over time that you need to officially start out thinking too much. And you need to understand tempo. You need to think about movement patterns. You need to think about moving through space in a proper fashion, because a lot of people don't fucking know where their body is moving, which is crazy to me. Yeah. But I also understand it because I'm very fortunate. Again, I grew up with a sports background. There's a lot of people that didn't have that. Their coordination is different. The way they feel their body is different. So I think early on in a journey like this, you have to spend time establishing those connections and the neural capacity to move in certain ways. And as you get better and better at that, I was just explaining this to somebody yesterday, but there comes a time where the separation decreases and you no longer think, and it's just normal for you. It's like auto-regulated, right? So people talk to me about the control I have on my heavy lifts when I'm doing hack squats and I'm not just letting the weight push me down and drop and slam and then stand back up. Because, like, yes, that is brute strength. But on the flip side of that, that's not what essentially builds muscle. I would rather see you on a hack squat going controlled and almost pulling yourself through the eccentric or the lowering of the exercise with 4 plates than watching 7 hammer you into the bottom where it bounces and then you stand back up. Because yes, you have brute strength to stand up with it, and essentially you're just trying not to die and standing up with the weight, just like I had said, but you're not building muscle in an efficient manner, right? So that's an acquired skill over time, and that's something that with my athletes, I really work on and try to get. But on the flip side of that, I think also people take that way too far, right? So that's where I said this is an acquired skill, and you need to start moving away from that skill as you get deeper into your training life. Because if you just hold on to that stretch and squeeze a pink dumbbell bullshit, you're not going to build muscle, right? And that's where there's a separation and divide in the industry right now, which there's some industry leaders and somebody that I've had a very fortunate period of time to kind of mentor with and work with, and he did my own training. His name's Nick Gloff. I believe he's one of the best, I would argue probably the best in the world at training programming and understanding of the body. And Nick is one of those guys who understands biomechanics better than 90% of people. Way more than that, probably 99% of people. And when you talk to Nick, though, he'll get complex with shit, but he'll also tell you, dude, just fucking train harder and stop thinking. Because that's the primary ingredient in the recipe, is the effort and the intensity. Outside of that, then let's refine that a little bit more. But if you can't fucking train hard and you can't push yourself, you could train perfect. Absolutely fucking perfect. And I see it all the time. Trust me, I see it all the time, and I just shake my head.
Wash, rinse, repeat, and nothing happens for 4 years.
These coaches and these people that just like it working out, so they become coaches and they take some biomechanics courses and they think they're a fucking god to muscle building, yet they're 150 pounds soaking wet as a grown-ass male. And I have no problem with you being that size if you're not pretending to understand building muscle at the highest fucking level. Because if you don't have any muscle on your frame, how are you going to fucking tell me that I can build muscle doing what you do?
There's
right?
no faith in it.
Because as far as I'm concerned, I would rather listen to Branch Warren, who didn't know a fucking thing about mechanics, hurt himself every other training session, but looked like an absolute fucking freak and stood on the biggest bodybuilding stage in the world. Do genetics come into play for him? Yeah. But he was one of the hardest workers this industry has ever fucking seen, and he got where he was because of that. Nobody got to the highest level in this sport because of fucking biomechanics only, right? Whereas people have 100%.
Holy shit.
And you ask a guy like that, look at him. He's absolutely fucked. Do I agree with where he's at right now? No, but I understand it, because you're talking to somebody who blew their aorta in half and still puts 5 plates or 500 pounds on a bar or 7 plates on a hack squat and does the same shit. Do I want to not be able to walk at 70 years old? Absolutely not. Right now, am I thinking about that? Absolutely not, because I have other things that I'm thinking about, and I know that there's going to be a time for me I have to pull back. I understand that and I respect that. I don't believe that time is right now. Am I pulling back right now a little bit because of injuries? Yes. I'm listening to my body a little bit more. And this is where I was going with this. You listen to Ronnie, and if you've probably all heard the interview, the guy's he can't even walk anymore because his back is so fucked and his hips and his spine is so fucked up. And if you ask him if he would change anything about what he did, his response on an interview was, I would get 1 more rep with 800 pounds on the bar.
Yeah, like if you've watched his videos, he was literally squatting 800 pounds 2.5 weeks before the Olympia. You're talking depleted. And
completely fucked.
Yeah, like
that's
not, and you can't even convince him not to, because he's not listening at that point.
And we're talking about a guy that was working a 9 to 5 as a fucking cop for a majority of his bodybuilding career.
Yeah, like his vest was so small on him that it wasn't going to stop a bullet anyways.
Imagine that guy kicking in your door.
No thanks. I'm just like, shit, whatever I did, I'm guilty. Just tell me what I did, I'll sign off on it.
Hilarious.
All right, so anyways, that was safest mass cycle. I don't really want to go into compounds like that, because like you said, someone's going to take it the wrong way.
Yeah, and there's really bad compounds, and there's ones that I would say are safer, but I don't want to say the safer ones and you think that they're safe and can be abused. So
yeah, because until you have your blood work, you've checked your blood pressure.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe caffeine isn't even right for you as I'm pounding down coffee, because I know people that sensitive.
Yep.
So I don't like that question.
Well, and I'll say this. I mean, I have a lot of people start working with me because of my education on PEDs and the roster that I do coach, and they want to get into the world of PEDs. And quite frankly, when you sign up with me, if you're a young kid and or maybe not young, and you're like, hey, I want to start steroids, so I'm going to hire you. I'm going to do a bodybuilding show. I want to go that route, etc. Maybe you've already competed naturally a few times and you just want to bodybuild. Well, guess what? When you work with me, you ain't going on gear for at least 3 months. You're going to give me 12 weeks of showing me you can diet, you can follow a plan, you can check in on time, you can do the shit that I require of you that shows me you're serious about this sport first before I ever have a conversation about putting you on cycle. And then you're going to show me that you can afford the supplements that I give you, which might be $200, $300, $400 a month to make sure you are mitigating risk. Now, when you do that, and I actually used to make my athletes send me receipts of their supplements before I wrote them a cycle. And if they wouldn't show me receipts, I wouldn't fucking write them a gear protocol. Do I still do that? No, because the athlete needs to take some fucking onus too.
Yes. And
I can't micromanage 100 plus people. But that being said, I develop relationships with my athletes, and I think we've developed a level of trust now.
Like I said, the respect of
for sure
everyone around you is...
And I'm very fortunate to have developed that I get people that say, I want to work with you. And I'm at a place now where I am selective with who I work with. I interview every single athlete that joins my specific roster on a video call, before we have this conversation. And if we're sitting there and your eyes are looking around the room and you're just nodding, staring at your phone, texting while we're talking, I'm probably not going to fucking bring you on my team because you ain't about it. And you don't actually care to be here. Somebody told you I was a good coach and you're like, sure, I'll hire him. Maybe you got a couple extra dollars to burn, right? I want people that are about it, that are here to fucking win.
Yeah, because if they don't succeed, they make you look terrible.
So back to what I was saying 100%, but back to what I was saying is realistically, if you come to me and you're like, I just want to start steroids, I'm probably going to tell you, show me you want to start steroids first. So for the next 3 months, let's see what you're made of. Show me your training efforts. Show me your training efforts. Show me your fucking diligence to follow a diet. Show me that you can sleep in a regular fucking schedule. Show me the shit that matters first.
And
because
not partying.
Yeah, because any of those things, if you can't do those things and you take drugs, the drugs aren't going to work. They're not fucking magic. People honestly, and even people that start their first cycle with me that are bodybuilders and follow this shit, a lot of the times they have a misunderstanding of what's going to happen. And they think suddenly they're going to look like fucking Ronnie Coleman after taking a needle for the last 12 weeks and putting a little bit of testosterone in them. Unfortunately, that's not the way the world works, and that's not how these drugs work. They increase recovery and all that kind of stuff. They don't just get you fucking huge. Over time, will they? Yes, but you also need to be dialed the fuck in, and we talked about this on our last podcast. A lot of times, bodybuilders that are taking shit are absolutely dialed the fuck in on every single variable, and it still is not super easy. If anything, a lot of enhanced guys work harder to be as diligent to earn that extra 1% of muscle, right?